The sun was sinking low over the red canyons, and the wind carried the scent of rain and dust across the valley when Jake Mallory, a quiet rancher hardened by loss, heard something strange. A faint sob carried through the canyon like a ghostly whisper. He reined in his horse, Boone, and turned toward the sound, his instincts pulling him forward. Down by the riverbank, half hidden behind the tall reeds, sat a little girl, barefoot, her long dark hair tangled, her dress torn, and her eyes wide with fear. She looked too fragile for the wild world around her. Jake slowly approached and said softly, "You lost, little one?" The girl didn't answer. She just clutched a small pouch to her chest as if it held her whole world. When she finally spoke, her voice was trembling. "My name's Naya. My mama, she told me to follow the sun if we got separated." Jake felt something stir deep inside him, a memory of his own daughter, gone years ago in a fever he could never forgive himself for. Without another word, he helped Naya onto his horse and took her back to the ranch. The nights that followed were quiet, filled with the soft sounds of crickets and the whisper of wind through the fences. Naya barely spoke, but when she did, her words came like echoes from a storm, fragments of fire, men on horses, her mother's voice fading in the distance. Jake didn't push her. He just made sure she ate, slept, and felt safe. Slowly she began to trust him, helping with the horses, laughing softly when the puppy chased its tail, even humming songs in her Apache tongue as the sun dipped low. Yet behind every smile, there was something broken, something unfinished. One day, while fixing a fence near the ridge, Jake noticed riders in the distance, 3 of them, moving slow, carrying the dust of long miles. When they reached the ranch, an Apache woman dismounted first. Her face was lined with pain, her eyes sharp as a hawk's. "You found my daughter," she said, her voice steady but cracked with grief. Naya ran to her crying, wrapping her small arms around her mother. Jake felt a weight lift from his heart, but the woman's gaze held him still. "You deserve to know," she said. The reason she was alone. And then came the truth that tore through him like a blade. The raiders, who burned their village, who took lives and left ashes behind, had been led by a white man named William Mallory, Jake's brother. The name struck him like thunder. His breath caught, his heart splintered, under the weight of guilt he hadn't even earned, but could feel as his own. He looked at the woman, her eyes hollow with old sorrow, and said quietly, "If I could trade places with him, I would." She nodded slowly. "The sins of a man can die, but the kindness of another can heal." Jake watched her and Naya ride away that evening, the setting sun painting their silhouettes against the golden sky. He knew he might never see them again, but in that moment, something inside him changed. The anger, the loneliness, the ghosts of his past all seemed to fade into the wind. Months later, as the first snow touched the plains, a small bundle arrived at his porch, a handmade blanket and a note in a child's handwriting. "Thank you for finding me when I was lost. Mama says you saved us both." Jake stood there for a long time, the letter trembling in his rough hands, his eyes stinging with unshed tears. He looked out over the open land and whispered, "Maybe that's what redemption looks like." The camera pulls back, showing Jake alone by the fire, the blanket draped over his shoulders, while the narrator's voice softly closes. In the wide silence of the frontier, sometimes 2 broken hearts meet, not to fix the past, but to remind the world that kindness still rides through the dust.